Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday evening. It is 9 o'clock. Time for the movie review. But first, a little music, as always. Enjoy.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. Nice to see you all here, especially our movie reviewers. However, good evening, Toffee. However, I got an email the other day from Sensum, who will not be with us this evening. He is with friends and relatives elsewhere, and therefore will be absent for this movie review, which is a bit of a shame for us, but I'm sure he's enjoying himself. We do have 2 out of 3. Good evening, Magic Man. How are you, sir?
Good evening. I'm doing okay. Still a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit more, that's why.
Okay,
But thanks for having me back.
And we have our William. Good evening, William. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. A pleasure to be back again. Imagine sent some, the cheek.
Good evening, Trevor M. Scott's Armour, Kutofi, of course, Anglo, Steve, Packer. Who else? Have I missed anyone else? Have I? No, I don't think so. No, I haven't. No, no, I haven't missed anyone. Anyway, I'm sure we can bumble along without him for once. We're still waiting on Eki, of course, as usual. And incidentally, William, it's your movie pick next time.
Oh, Jesus.
I know, and I've got bad news for you. The channel that we use most of the time, it's been disarmed. It no longer exists. We have no access to it anymore. So I have no idea what we're going to do for being able to point people in the direction of where they might find the film that anyone chooses, because it was great. No, Toffee, it was Samuel who picked Die Hard, not William. His choice is next. It was my son who picked Die Hard.
Yep.
So that was a great sight. That we
Is
had.
that the couch turner?
Yeah, it's going.
It's still up. I seen it today.
Well, you go and try and get onto it. Try and load it yourself into it, and you'll
I
find
think
it
it's
doesn't.
been I think it's been blocked by Google Chrome, possibly.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Because
I tried. I was
There
going
we
to
go.
go and watch it. I was going to watch the movie again today to freshen my mind up, and I couldn't get on. I thought, oh gosh, we're in trouble now. And here comes Eki. Good evening, Eki.
How's it going? Sorry about being late. Cheers, guys.
I'm just talking about the possibility of losing your channel, the couch turner.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's something blocking it. You think it's, what do you think it is, William?
Yeah, I think Google. I noticed about a week ago, Google had stopped showing it, but when I went on to a private browser, or a different browser, I got it okay.
Oh, you did you? Steve's saying get a VPN, maybe. Yeah, Bruce has got dementia. Yeah, he does. It's a shame. No, I mean, true. Bruce does actually have dementia. That's why you haven't seen him about and then for a while. It's rather a shame. Anyway, I just thought I would drop that piece of information in at the beginning in case somebody knows another channel just as good. I certainly don't, but I'll try the suggestion you're making here, William. That might help. Hope it does. It's a great channel. As I was saying to my son there, I've got about 14 or 15 movie titles here. Some that we've used and most of them we haven't. And they're all great films and they're all there. So it'll be a great loss to me. Anyway. He's watching the darts. It's a duck. Good evening, it's a duck. Nice to see you here, sir. Watching the darts. Anyway. Well, we'll start. As always, I like to always start by asking the person who picked the film why they picked the film. So, Samuel, why did you pick Die Hard?
Well, it's a great contemporary Christmas film, and it felt fitting for the month of December to have this Christmas film.
So you see it as a Christmas film, do you?
Yes.
Okay. So
It's an action film set at Christmas, but Christmas playing a prominent role. So it is a Christmas film, but yes, it is more of an action film. But yeah.
Okay. So, without going into great lengths, what do you like about this film?
It is very
Apart from the fact it's
yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's very rewatchable. It's definitely a film I can watch over and over again. Not, too, short a time between viewings, but I can certainly watch it a couple of times a year if needed, and it's still always very entertaining. There's a lot to like about it. The action set pieces are great. Bruce Willis is phenomenal in the role. Alan Rickman just chews up the dialogue and steals the film as the bad guy. It looks good. It sounds good. Its jokes still make me laugh. And there's stuff in the background that I still pick up on and haven't seen in previous viewings. So there's always some that I pick from it. And it's got that guy, that Asian fella that I don't know what his name is, but he's got the long hair, the moustache. It's always a stunt guy from the 80s in it, eating chocolate bars, Great.
Very good. Okay, Doc. William, what did you think of this film? Have you seen it? Had you seen it before?
Yeah, it had been quite a while, years, and I could hardly remember it. I knew that I liked it, but when I was thinking about it before I rewatched it, I was thinking, actually, what happens? And yeah, it's great. It's a great film. I think it's probably got the best one-liner phrase in history, which is, of course, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I think everybody knows that. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was great pick.
Okay. Eki, what's your thoughts on this movie?
Best Christmas movie ever, man.
Yeah. Wow. How about would you set that above the It's a Wonderful Life?
I'm gonna say best Christmas movie ever. Yeah.
Okay. You're in one of those moods, are you?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I will say that there's sort of a the entire movie was filmed just down the street from where I am, so like I recognize absolutely everything in that movie, all the way down to what streets they use to get into the buildings. So like, I freaking love that movie. Anyway,
Excellent. So you go down there and you have yourself photographed next to that building. It's, I was here.
well, actually, yeah, I worked in one of those buildings briefly. The Nakatomi Plaza, all of that takes place in a specific building that's on Avenue of the Stars. But if anyone finds themselves in Los Angeles for some reason, and goes into the elevator lobbies for all the buildings there, the actual elevators that are used in the movie, those are from the Twin Towers. You can see the Twin Towers in the background in like half the shots when they're on the roof. And the Twin Towers, they were designed by the same guy who did the Twin Towers in New York City, the ones that are rectangular, the ones here in Los Angeles are triangular. And funny coincidence, those are the same buildings that are blown up in Fight Club 1999. But anyhow, the elevators that are used for the scenes where they're going up to this floor, that floor, whatever, the lobby, I mean, those are actually the Twin Tower elevators. Those are not Nakatomi Plaza elevators. But whatever, anyway, it's just, yeah. I live in a film set. Los Angeles is a giant film set, and it's just funny to me, and I love it. Half the reason I like the movie is just because, like, it's about my hometown, so I love it.
Strange to hear you say that. Oddly enough, it just seems
I
strange.
mean, I hate on Los Angeles a lot, and I think for good reason, but there are elements to it that they're fun. They're neat. So, whatever. And plus, I mean, come on, man. An entire movie that's about a guy down on his luck, estranged wife, and he takes down a terrorist group and then gets back together with his wife. How cool a freaking movie is that? How can you not love that?
Yeah, well. Okay, let's get a bit more specific about it then. William, what have you got to say about the villain of this piece? Do you think he was a suitable choice, the actor? Or do
Oh
you think,
yeah, yeah. That was. I don't think they could have picked anyone better. And it was. I think it was going by the trivia. He nearly knocked it back. So he was a bit unsure. He didn't want to play a villain, but then I think his agent said, "Hey, wait a minute. This is going to be big." And yeah, I think in hindsight, he's glad that he did. But he played it perfectly. The scene where him and Bruce Willis meet, and he's pretending that an American guy. Seemingly, that wasn't even scripted. They done it in a unrehearsed fashion, which I
oh,
thought was
right.
great. Yeah,
Ad
I thought
libbing.
that
He
was
was
pretty.
ad libbing that, was he?
Yeah, but I mean, it
Well,
was. I
you could
really
never
enjoyed it.
tell. You could never tell.
No,
Obviously,
you
Bruce
would.
Willis just slipped right into it then.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
didn't
he
know
played
that.
it. He played it great. Um, it's hard to imagine anybody else, but I know that it's based on a book called oh
Yeah.
bugger, I forgot the name of the book. But the book, I know the rights were owned by Clint Eastwood, and I think
Really?
he did. Yeah, I think he did actually plan on being in the movie when it was going to be made, but maybe he was going to be the bad guy. But I reckon going with the guy that they went with, yeah, that was great. He played it fantastic. Probably apart from Bruce Willis, my favourite in the film. Kind of didn't want to see him die.
So you liked the villain, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. What have you got to say about the villain in this piece, Eki? Do you think he was suitable? Do you think he did the job?
The villain? The villain of Die Hard?
Yeah.
Hans Gruber?
Hans
The most
Gruber.
iconic villain ever? What do I think about the most awesome villain? I don't know. I guess he was great.
Awesome. No criticisms at all. No, nothing.
The only criticism I have is okay, so during the scene where Hans is interrogating Nakatomi, or Takagi rather. He does his little interrogation and he takes the suppressor off of the pistol in a threatening manner or whatever. That's not actually an Alan Rickman problem, that's a writing problem. You protect your hearing. Firearms are really, really loud. They are really, really bad for your hearing. How do I know that? Even with a suppressor, a firearm will generally get around the 120 decibel area. That's what a siren does outside. That's not hearing safe at all. That's with a suppressor. Without a suppressor, they get up into like the 150, 160 area easy. You are taking away your hearing every time you fire a shot. In the movie Terminator 2, 1991, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, she forgot to put in her hearing protection during the elevator scene where a shotgun is fired in the elevator. She forgot to put in her hearing protection. Her eardrums were ruptured. It was a really big deal. And Bruce Willis, in order to film a couple of shots, he had to fire a gun. They decided to put in squibs with just a little extra punch to get that beautiful flash out of the muzzle. I mean, come on, you want to see the muzzle flash. It's muzzle flash theater. You have to have muzzle flash in muzzle flash theater.
Oh, absolutely.
And, yeah, it's critical. But unfortunately, the way that they set up the shot, he was firing upward into sheet glass or something like that, plastic plate, so that it wouldn't damage something. So all of that energy reflected right back at him. He lost a bunch of hearing, shaved off a crab load of hearing. He had to wear hearing aids for the rest of his life because of it. So
Really?
when Hans takes off that suppressor to threaten Takagi, worst move possible. No. You put the suppressor on so that you can preserve your hearing. You're going to kill the guy. His hearing doesn't matter. You're the one that's going to live. So Hans messed up on that. That's the only criticism that I have. Outside of that, no, Alan frickin' Rickman, man. Hell yeah.
So are you telling me and the audience here, Eki, that in real life now, I've got a gun and I walk into a jewellery shop to rob the place, I should really have a silencer on?
Yes.
Or a big set of headphones?
Yeah, as a rule, suppressors are really, really good. You want them on your firearm, period. Under all conditions, in all situations, you always want a suppressor, yes. And I can't stress this enough. In the movies, what they do is they use fake sound effects, and the fake sound effect that you are familiar with whenever you see a suppressor used in a movie, that is not what they sound like at all. With a suppressor, they still get up to 120 decibels. Like, they are louder than you can yell. That's how loud they are, even with a suppressor. So the only thing you're doing is you are preserving some of your hearing. Even with a suppressor, you should probably have hearing protection. I'm not joking.
Well, Toffee here is supporting what you say. I don't know anything about guns except what I've seen in movies, which is nothing. I don't mean to make Liverpool look bad, but there was a shooting near me when I was a teenager, and I was shocked at how loud it was, says our Toffee. So he's doing this thing about the loudness of a gun going off.
Dude, they are flipping loud. And here's another one that I just remembered. I forgot and just now remembered. There's a scene where the cop, Carl? Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the cop. I don't know why. I forgot the name of the cop. Son of a gun, whatever. Anyway, the cop with the walkie. What's that?
Al.
Al, thank you very much. So Al, he gets a call at the local AM/PM down the street from Nakatomi Plaza, and there's a shootout happening at the top of the building. And then he goes outside, he looks up, and he sees at the top a couple of flashes. He doesn't hear the gunshots. That's nonsense. He would hear those gunshots. There is nothing in between that building and him. He would absolutely hear those gunshots because they are freaking loud. And he can't be more than what, like half a mile away? Maybe. Let's see here. I'm trying to think about where that shot would have taken place.
No.
Um, oh my gosh. Yeah, the only places that could have been recorded with that specific setup, because that would have been a medium angle lens, so there wouldn't be. Yeah, that would have to be like a couple blocks away. We're talking about half a mile tops. He would hear those shots. He would absolutely hear those shots. So, yeah, that's a, the movie has to make it seem plausible that you don't get the authorities involved immediately, so on and so forth. You have to do tension and suspense and so on and so forth. So I'm willing to let it go because though it's
Sure.
not realistic, like, the plot has to happen, the writing has to happen, so I'll let it go.
Okay, okay.
And yeah, it's loud. That's all I'm saying. Guns are freaking loud. That's all.
I think the guns they used must have made noise because in the trivia it talks about the building being occupied. Certain floors were occupied by administration companies during the day, and then they filmed on floors above. But because it was that loud, they were complaining about it. So they had to then go at night time and film it at night. So maybe it was genuinely the noise of the gun rather than an added effect.
You just don't
I
think
don't
about
know
that.
how much of it was done. I would have to actually hear. I'd have to go through and know a little bit more about it. But infamously, the movie Heat 1997, they actually used the sound capture from the guns that were used within the shoot within downtown Los Angeles. The reason it sounds so awesome is because the movie Heat is because they were using the sounds of actual gunfire. They were using blanks, but they loaded them like the powder was actual,
Yeah.
the powder from guns. Within Die Hard, I think a lot of it was Foleyed in, so I'm not sure. I actually don't know. I would have to listen, but there's like an echo effect to actual gunfire that you will hear on microphones because it's just so loud it reverberates against walls multiple times.
Yeah, well, I can easily imagine that.
Okay, you know what? This is silly. This is now a different conversation, and we're not talking about Die Hard. I'm gonna shut up. I'm sorry about that. Okay, moving on.
Well, I'm just, from the movie making point of view, I'm just interested and curious about this whole subject of guns and how loud they are. I mean, I'm thinking about Western movies. Would those guns in those Western movies be as loud?
Yes. Do you remember? I don't know how many people have recollections, but it used to be kind of a joke back in the mid 1900s, early 1900s, cartoons and movies. There would be an old man with a funnel, and he would put the funnel in his ear, and he would say, "What? What? What?" And that funnel was so that there would be a little extra capture of sound going into his ear. Why? Why? The answer is simple. Back in those days, World War One, Civil War, World War Two, those guys were firing weapons, and that was destroying their hearing before they fully understood what it was doing to their hearing.
Well,
So,
again, that's what I'm thinking on. I'm thinking on all the westerns I've seen, and you get the gunfight between two characters, and they're usually quite close to one another for other reasons about the guns in those times. Not very accurate, but they're usually 10, 12, 15 feet away from each other. They pull out their guns and they fire. But you're saying that the noise in a saloon would be horrendous. That's
Yes.
what you're saying, isn't it? If I've got you correctly.
Yes, you are shaving off a little bit of your hearing every time one of those things goes off. Correct.
Right. Okay. Just so I know. That's all. I like to know these little things, you know. Uh, I think to me they add knowing stuff like that adds to the enjoyment of watching a film that you do enjoy. That's the way I've always seen it. I know something about how things are done or the difficulties or whatever that lie behind certain things. It adds to my enjoyment of the film.
Yeah, and I do think it's a good idea to kind of give a pass to these little details
Oh yeah,
because, like, you still want to have an enjoyable movie. And just
yeah,
imagine a movie where a bunch of people are using firearms and, like, everyone's putting on headphones at all times. It's got to look very silly, but that's
yeah,
more realistic,
exactly.
but it's not fun to watch.
Yeah, but nobody does that in real life, obviously.
There are earbuds that you can get.
All
And
right, right.
so
So
what you
if
do
I,
is
if I
you
was a
just,
gangster, I would get these ear things and put them in.
a responsible one would, yes.
Okay.
An unresponsible one would not.
Yeah, because they use half earbud and heat. One half's got the comm system, the other half's got the earbud.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how they dealt with that.
Yeah.
I would have to go through and listen, like listen to interviews and like read up on the history of it or whatever. But just yeah, as a rule, um, hearing protection is really critical on set, really, really critical. And anytime you hear of an actor that fails to use hearing protection, you will hear stories about how they lost however much of their hearing or whatever.
Well, thanks very much for all of that, Eki. I find that very valuable to know. That's no sarcasm, by the way. I'm interested in that kind of stuff. It's amazing. Anyway, let's get back to Die Hard. Is there anything that you would criticise about the storyline, Samuel? Is there any flaws in the storyline? Major.
There's some minor flaws, but Eki's already sort of discussed that. If you pick it apart, the stuff with Al when he goes to the building and John McClane is trying to get his attention by firing the gun, making as much noise as possible and he's like, huh, what noise? Huh? And then when McClane's he's talking to the police unit lady and trying to report a crime's being committed and this terrible situation is developing, and she just like, no, nothing to do with me, no, it's a false alarm, you're winding us up. That part just really grates on me because it's like, if that was treated even remotely like a proper threat, then more than just Al by chance is going to wander by that building. That's to me, that's the bit that always grates on me, is that point when he's talking to those cops and they're like, nah, and then he fires the gun and just almost destroys their sound system because of the noise, and they're like, nah, what was that? Nah, couldn't be a gun. Nah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's a poor device.
Yeah. It just tries to establish that the local cops are idiots, which I know is a common trope, particularly for the police department, where they're meant to be seen as this incompetent group that needs superhero action cops to save the day. But even a modicum of intelligence would say, that was a gun I just heard. Send some police out there,
One would think.
Yeah, get some SWAT teams or something, on standby. There could be something seriously happening here.
Yeah,
They're like,
sure.
nah.
Okay. William, have you got any serious criticisms to draw against this movie?
Quite hard to criticise, really, to be honest. But there was one wee part that stood out, and it's when the head police officer is talking to the big black police officer, and he's telling him that a body landed on his car. And he's like, yeah, but that could have been a depressed stockbroker. Yeah, well, what about the machine gun, though? What about the machine gun that was getting fired? So that kind of stood out.
Yeah. That was actually, it's quite a good line when you think on it.
Yeah.
If you see it in a comedic sense,
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah.
been a stockbroker. I always thought that was a joke, you say.
Yeah, it's a joke scene, but yeah, when you take in constraints of the plot, you're like, no, doesn't make sense plot wise. It's a funny moment, dark, super dark, but yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. How about the ending? Did you feel as though the ending was a natural build-up from what had gone before we get to that everybody's on the roof business?
Is that me? Sorry.
No, I was going to put that on to Eke.
Yes. I do think that the progression is logical and it's unrealistic, but the thing is that like the plot has to happen, so it kind of doesn't matter how ridiculous it is in a way. Like if you really stop and think about it, like okay, there's the big giant explosion or whatever that's supposed to happen, and then oh no, all the hostages have died, and then we're just gonna scarper off through the back in an ambulance, and then no one's gonna notice this weird ambulance popping up out of nowhere. That makes no sense. Like, come on, dude. No one saw an ambulance go. From the cops' perspective, the cops didn't see an ambulance go into the building. Suddenly one's coming out, and they're not going to be like, hey guys, where did you come from? We cordoned off this area. We prevented everyone from going in the building. You're here, and now you're coming out. Okay. See you later. Bye. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. But whatever, man. The thing is that you kind of have to go with movie logic. And fantastic example would be when Al is talking to the main cop, and he's giving the main cop like what is he, like the lieutenant, whatever, I don't remember the guy's name, whatever, but the main cop that's supposed to be in the local cop that's supposed to be in charge. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Alan's given that cop crap the entire time, and the cop is like, oh man, whatever, here, take the mic back, keep talking to this weirdo that we don't know or whatever. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then later on, when like they start moving cops to go to the building and whatever, and like the cops, they all get taken out, and then suddenly this other guy is like, get the car, and then they send this big like military vehicle into the building. It's like, that would be handled through chain of command. It's not some dude just saying, let's go throw some other stuff at it. It doesn't work like that. You have to have, like, orders come from authority figures, hierarchy. That doesn't exist in the movie at all. So like, that doesn't make any sense. But movie logic, it's all movie logic. So the way that I look at it is the plan itself is kind of hackneyed, but if you look at it from like a 13-year-old point of view, and if you movie logic the hell out of it, it makes perfect sense. It's totally fine. And I mean, come on, man. Like, John McClane has to win. He's the freaking cowboy of the movie. He's going to win. So yeah, sure, he's gonna blow up the top of a building or whatever, and then get into a duel with the main villain and somehow come out on top. Why? Movie logic.
Yeah, that's movies for you.
What's that?
I said that's movies for you, or should I say that's Hollywood for you?
Well, but I mean, okay, so I was, for reasons that are beyond me, I decided to start looking at Beowulf, the poem Beowulf from like, I don't know, 800 AD or something. And if you just go and look at what actually happens in that poem, like it's pretty ridiculous. It's basically Die Hard, but in like 800 AD. It's about this young guy who's like, I'm such a badass. I'm going to defeat a demon with my bare hands. And then he rips its arm off and destroys it or something. And then the demon's mother is like, screw you, buddy. I hate you even more. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to take out this chick here because she's super duper evil. She's like the mother of evil. And I will beat her once again, squared off. And he does. And then like 50 years goes by or whatever. And so old man Beowulf, who's got to be in his frickin' 70s or something, evil comes back once again. And Beowulf, as a 70-year-old man, is like, you know what? One more time. We're doing it one more time. And he does. And he does, the big death blow and like the dragon. There's a dragon for some reason. And the dragon goes for Beowulf. And Beowulf gets stabbed by the dragon by like a tooth or a claw or something like a stinger. And a venomous blow is given to Beowulf. But as he is given his death blow, he delivers a death blow to the dragon. So it's like a double death blow or whatever. So even though he loses, he still wins because his goal is to take out the dragon. As far as I'm concerned, that is identical in form to Die Hard, because what do you have? Some ridiculous freaking idea of this superhuman dork going through and just flaying everything alive because he's more badass than everybody else. And as far as I'm concerned, you know what? Yes, absolutely. I love those stories. I don't care what anyone says. I think they're amazing.
Okay. Well, you can let me know. Do you think this is badass?
Look at that guy. Look at that guy. Stone cold killer. Look at those eyes of steel.
Straight from a movie.
You reckon?
He's not in danger. He is the danger.
Yeah.
See, that's the look that a person that's the, because black hat. Remember, white hats and black hats.
Exactly.
That's the look of the black hat as he's making the decision, the critical decision. Okay, now the penny's gonna drop. That's the look.
That's the look that says, okay, make the hit.
Triple M, good file. I've got another one. I thought you might like to see these new photographs with my new hat.
Like it.
You like it?
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that the actual events within Die Hard that lead up to the
See, I should have been the villain in Die Hard wearing a hat like that.
Dude, you could have been one of the 12 guys. You could have been one of the 12 guys easily. You would just have to fake a German accent. You'd be fine. No problem.
Yeah.
You'd be on set. No issues at all. No issues at all.
Oh, great. Like to hear it. That's what I like to hear. Here's another one.
Nice. But yeah, I would say the
John Corleone. Says Robert.
Nice. John McCarleone.
Toffee says.
But yeah, I would say the
Looks like a mafia killer guy in The Godfather Part 2.
I think the plot for Die Hard was exactly what it needs to be for kind of a silly action movie, and I am totally willing to let go of any minor inconsistencies or flubs in real world logic, just because, again, like, the plot kind of has to happen, and I really do like the overall motif of a guy trying to get back with his estranged wife.
Mm.
Some people have derided that as being kind of, oh no, he's a cuck, oh no, he's a beta male. And yeah, okay, fine, I guess somebody could say that, but like, that's a good thing. Like, you're trying to get back with your wife. Like, that seems like a good thing. That seems positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even
Exactly.
with all of the inconsistencies and weird things, like, I still like the themes. I still like what he's trying to do, so I don't really
Yeah.
mind.
No, I agree with you. If you take to a movie for whatever reason, you always find that you're willing to overlook any flaws in it, whether it's the making of or thematic flaws or anything like that. You're because you enjoy the overall thing that you're watching. So I'm glad you like the hat, Phyllis and folks. This is my new one. I'm thinking of buying a grey one to go with it. So there you go. Oh, that's
Maybe I should get
nice.
a hat.
Yeah, I should all get hats. So back to the film. Who is that? Trevor N says, John, you suit hats. Yes, I have been told that I'm one of these people who do suit
Yep.
wearing hats.
Good start point is a head.
I got a head, got a hat. Oh, you know, Carol, this is someone you know. William.
Yeah, she's one of us. You're okay. She's not a terrorist.
All right, okay. Well, you can never tell when it's the first time they've been here. You know, I always like to hear somebody say, "Oh, I know that person." You know.
Yeah, she gets the okay from me. She's
Oh
great.
well.
Do you know what I seen in the trivia, which I
Yeah.
didn't know before, is that Bruce Willis was actually born in Germany.
Really?
Yep, his mother is German and his dad's from America.
Oh.
So he was actually more German than a lot of the German terrorists.
I like it. Anglo-Saxon is saying all of our people used to wear hats. That's very true. They did. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why men began not to wear hats. You might find this difficult to accept, but it's true. One of the many reasons, is that the inside of motor cars gets smaller, gets shorter. And because of that, it became difficult to wear certain styles of hats. So the men stopped wearing them. And now, if you go into a car wearing a hat like the one in those photographs, I have to take that hat off to get to be used in a car. Can't wear it inside a car. I think that does that apply to some of my other hats? It might well do. Apply to this one I'm wearing.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
And that's why John McClane didn't wear his big cowboy hat.
I thought if I was going to add any sort of criticism, my main criticism was it was a very, very weak plot device to make sure that he was barefooted in the film when the action started up. I thought that was a bit weak. the whole thing on the plane with the feet. So, just my thoughts on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat that?
Well, the fact that he's running around in bare feet, right, to make things difficult for him, I thought it was a weak idea as to how to get him to take his shoes and socks off later on when they arrive in the building. I just
Oh,
thought the whole
yeah.
thing was weak. But they needed to get him into that state so that it would be, handicapped, or we would see him in that handicapped state. And then we can use all the broken glass and whatnot as another visual problem that he has to overcome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. If we're gonna talk about like silly details that are just awful, one of my least favorites is when he goes into the vents and he's hanging off by like the strap of his little pistol or whatever,
Uh,
and then he reaches over to go for the vent, and then he falls, and then he grabs onto something. He grabs onto a ledge. That's ridiculous. He would just bounce off. And if you actually watch the footage, you can see when the stuntman hits that edge or when he hits the wall, he does bounce off.
mm,
So catching that ledge is like physically impossible the way that it's done in the movie. But again, movie logic. The movie
yeah.
has to happen. So
Yeah, because if he does actually grab it, he's going to dislocate his shoulders and then fall to his death, even if
Yeah.
he was somehow to grab it.
But yes, I mean,
movie logic.
you
yeah,
see
it's
that a
all
lot.
it's all silly, but
I just thought the bare feet thing was the more obvious criticism to make rather than these other things about jumping and going across pretty impossible things.
yeah.
It, if they had come up with a better idea for him to take his shoes and his socks off, it would have been okay. But it just seemed a bit weak.
But then again, he's unaccustomed to that thinking, being an East Coast guy, and that's a sort of West Coast thinking, at least in terms of the movie. So he's like, I'll try it. What have I got to lose? And then when he does it, he's like, oh, it actually works. It is actually easing my tension. But yeah, I do agree. It's like, it's flimsy to get him on, his barefoot. But it was nice how they did reference it, because not many films at the time did something like that, particularly in an action film.
Sure. Anglo-Saxon makes a very good point also, I think. He's saying the scene when he gives Gruber an unloaded gun, you would have thought someone who's, and maybe Eki can add to this, you would have thought someone who was used to handling guns, especially pistols, would have noticed the weight difference, or would that not happen? Eki, would you notice the difference?
Not necessarily, and the reason is because the gun that was being used by John McClane was a Beretta 92, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And the Beretta 92 is a full frame, like full grip. So every single one of your fingers is going to get onto that grip, and you'll have a little bit extra because some guys are big. So it's all steel. It's got a 5-inch barrel. Those things are very, very weighty. Those are not light pistols at all. The Glock, even a Glock 17, those are fairly weighty, but it'd be easier to notice a weight difference with those ones because that has a polymer frame. So the only metal on a Glock, significant metal components, are just the barrel and the slide. The magazine is plastic with a metal sleeve, and the frame is metal. I'm sorry, the frame is plastic with a Glock. So the difference between a fully loaded Glock and an unloaded Glock is extremely noticeable. But because it's so much heavier with the Beretta, I suspect it might be a little harder to notice the difference. I have not fired a Beretta 92, so I can't say for certain that I would notice the difference right away. But I mean,
We're nitpicking here.
you're only talking about a difference of a few ounces, though. Like,
Okay.
you're not talking about a huge difference. You're probably talking about maybe like a quarter to half a pound or something, which is only going to be like a third of the weight of the gun. So I think that like in the moment you probably wouldn't notice. And Hans Gruber, he uses he uses a subcompact. He uses something that has like almost a 2-finger grip or whatever. So he's using a much smaller pistol. And Hans, if I recall correctly, the only Beretta 92 he touches in the entire movie is the one from John McClane, and that's it. So it seems reasonable to think that Hans would not be familiar with the weights of some of those things because he just doesn't have to because he's already got
Yeah.
his
Okay.
silly little pocket gun.
Ultra nationalist is a bit peeved up because we're not talking politics tonight. But I have to tell you, sir, I assume you're a man, that this is one night when we don't talk politics generally. This is a night to get away from it. Because, in my opinion, that's all it is, my opinion, our folk online travel around all the different various sites and hear nothing but politics. So I personally think it's nice now and then to get away from it. And we do this once a month at the end of the month to get away from politics. So it's not as though we're ignoring the problems, because we're not. You can't. They're too great. But it's necessary to give your brain a rest from that stuff. Otherwise, you can burn out. It's a film review night. It's always been a film review night. And an artistic night as well, because we often spill on to music and other art forms, simply to get away from politics. I'm sorry if that doesn't suit, but that's the way it is on this channel. And has been for a long time.
And just quickly back to your point, I think for Gruber's character, if he was to recognize or identify that there was something wrong with that gun, it would blow his attempt of subterfuge of McClane's character of pretending to be this afraid civilian that's never had, hasn't really handled a gun. So if he was able to pick up that he's got an unloaded gun, he's instantly given away his cover. So whether he knows or not, I think is irrelevant. He's trapped into. He's got to believe that the gun he's got is legit. But internally, he might be thinking, "This is a waste of time," but I need to continue the lying. I need to continue the subterfuge, and roll with it.
Okay. Makes sense.
I see your point, but I would disagree only in that when Hans goes for the walkie-talkie, talking with his compatriots, he levels the gun at John McClane as though it is loaded. So I get the impression that he actually doesn't know that it's loaded.
True.
I mean, not that it matters.
No, I speak in ignorance about guns in general, obviously. I would like to think if I was somebody like Gruber, who's a gun carrying person for various reasons, you would know such things, but obviously you wouldn't necessarily know them, especially if you're in a stressful situation, which they're all in.
Well, there is one thing that John McClane does that makes it look like it is loaded, which just weirds me out every time I see him do it. I know that the prop gun is not loaded, so like I understand that everyone is safe. However, when John McClane takes out the mag, that's the one with the bullets, then he inserts an empty mag with the one without bullets. Firstly, he doesn't clear the chamber. He doesn't rack the slide to pull out that last round. So it's like, okay, buddy, there. According to real life, there actually should be one single bullet in there. But movie logic, we're not going to worry about that. Moving on. He loads in the magazine, and then he holds the hammer with his thumb, pulls the trigger, and then rides the hammer forward, holding the hammer. You don't do that's awful. You don't do that. The entire point of that hammer is that it hits the firing pin and makes it go bang. You do not hold that hammer on a live round at all. You don't ride that hammer down ever. And the way that he does it makes it look as though he thinks that there is a round in the chamber, which according to real life logic, because he didn't rack the slide, there would be a round in there. But according to movie logic, when you take out the magazine, it's just simply unloaded. And we're not going to worry ourselves about that round that's in the chamber. So it's like, okay. He performs an action that's dangerous, and it would look like it's loaded.
Right, we've got a question here, a legitimate question from Toffee. This might be a daft question, he's saying, because we don't know anything about guns on this side of the Atlantic generally. Eki, are guns notably heavier if they're loaded as opposed to when they're empty? Does the magazine make such a difference to the weight?
Yes.
So he's obviously talking about the magazine with all the bullets in it that the magazine can hold.
No, it's noticeable. You absolutely notice it. So the average firearm, or I'm familiar with smaller ones. I'm not familiar with big ones. And I shouldn't even say familiar. I've had some experience with smaller ones. And you're talking about like 20 ounces or something like that. I mean, a little over a pound or whatever. You're not talking about anything terribly heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing like weight comparisons like years and years and years ago. And I did notice that, yeah, you do end up with a significant increase in weight because every one of those rounds, you're still talking about like several. I wish I could remember the weights. But you are talking about several ounces worth of metal and plastic for the magazine and bullets. So they're not these tiny little weightless things. They add maybe like 30 to 50% weight or whatever. Like it's not insignificant. A large amount of weight is in those magazines and bullets. Okay. So it's absolutely noticeable. But coming back again to the fact that the Beretta 92 is an all steel frame, I don't think that it would be, for a person that's not familiar with them, I don't think that it would be as easy for the unfamiliar person to discern weight differences based on bullets or whatever like that. Okay. Like a cop would know the difference, but that's because a cop would carry a Beretta 92. A person who is not a cop would not know the difference because a person who is not a cop does not carry a Beretta 92.
Okay. Let's get away from the guns and get to the music then.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Again, a lot of this is interesting. for somebody like me who's interested in how movies are made and how, in a situation like that type of film, how do they avoid accidents, etc., etc., etc. All of that is a genuinely interesting to me personally. Whether it is to the rest of our audience is another matter. But I'm going to ask Samuel, what did you think of the music or the soundtrack? Do you think it was good, bad, or indifferent?
It fit the period, enough Christmas jingles, Christmas songs in there, and a reasonable movie score in between to build up the tension and play out the action sequences without drowning out dialogue and whatnot. I will say that it's, other than the final piece of music, it's not hugely memorable as far as film scores go. I wouldn't put it in my top 50, but it's not bad in any way. It's okay.
Okay. William, how do you feel about the soundtrack of this film? Do you agree with what Samuel's saying?
Yeah, I guess so. The music never really caught my attention, to be honest. I was more engrossed in the action, I suppose. But I can remember one or two Christmas songs that he was singing. Just on the bare feet thing, I quite liked that. Without sounding a bit weird, I like this whole, especially the bit where he tried to steal he stole the shoes from the terrorist, but they were too small. So he was like, fuck that, and then he just carries on. But seemingly there's the scene with the glass, they actually put rubber feet on him, seemingly,
Right.
going by the trivia. So yeah, but the whole bare feet thing, I thought that was a good quirk in the movie.
And it still went through.
Yeah, it's even watching it, it's like, oh no. There's a couple of scenes where it really gives me the bloody heebie-jeebies, man. And one of them is where he crawls into the vent, and I don't know what it is about that, but I just think, no, don't go in there. Don't go and get stuck in a vent. It's like a nightmare for me. Then at the end, when the guy's hanging off the building, and he's got his arm, the girl's arm, it's like, oh no, I could hardly watch it. Too squeamish.
Okay. How about you, Eki? What do you feel about the music, or the soundtrack, should I say?
I guess I pretty much agree with everyone here. It's okay. It's not bad. Everyone likes the nice little Beethoven motif, which is pretty cool. But outside of the Beethoven motif, it's like, yep, the music does what it has to do in the moment, and that's about it.
No.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it, I guess.
Quite. Good evening, Bass.
Yeah, ending with Frank Sinatra was a nice touch.
Is that how it finished?
Yeah.
Which song?
Let It Snow, Let It Snow.
All right.
Yeah, it ends with it's raining money, or it's snowing money. That's how it ends.
Yeah. Okay. What can I say? So you think within its own logic, it stands up? Because that's always the way I look at these films. You look at the whole film, you say, within the logic of the film, does any particular thing not stand up? And
13-year-old me thinks it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, because you've got the idea that you've got the police response, which you expect to happen, and the villain is so good that he relies on that and plans his scheme around it, and it plays out exactly. But you've got the twist, obviously. For anyone that's not seen it, I want to talk about that. And it just it's just perfect. You know, it's so good. Everything gets used. You know, you get snippets of stuff in the building and McLean and whatnot. You makes use of it. You know, all the explosives and the chair, and it all has it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
And not very often you can say that about a film.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would say ruins the film? What about her performance, the wife? You think that she was okay?
I thought she was great. You know, she gets to punch that obnoxious news reporter, break his nose. Who wouldn't want to do that?
That's the guy from Ghostbusters, isn't it?
Yes.
He plays the official from the New York City.
Yeah. Walter Peck. Yeah, he plays Walter Peck in that film.
Yeah. I thought that.
Yeah. He's good at the slimy guy.
Yeah. Well, he was a slimy guy again in there.
Yeah.
Did that come after Ghostbusters?
Yes. Yeah. Ghostbusters was a couple of years before it.
Right. Okay. That might explain why he's got the part in there.
Probably.
He does such a good job. Never mind. Is there anything anyone would like to add, good or bad, about this movie? Or have we squeezed it until it's dry? What about the direction? You think it was a good direction?
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Don't hold back, Samuel.
Yeah.
You know.
Again, there is a documentary on Die Hard that's out there. I think it's on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it was Netflix. If it's not that, YouTube. Explaining how Die Hard was another one of those projects that almost was a complete failure, a disaster, and it came together in the 11th hour, and the director was largely responsible for that. How they managed to get a script was quite amazing, because they didn't have a script for the longest time. They didn't want Bruce Willis in that role. They didn't think he was capable of being a leading man. Certainly not a leading action man, you know, coming from TV comedy. And then an untested Alan Rickman as the heavyweight villain was a big risk. So it was just one of those miracle films that, had it not been for John McTiernan and the special effect folks and Bruce Willis really doing a number, you know, a standout acting job on it, it would not be an action film classic, or just a classic film in general. Definitely would have been a horrible, bad 80s action film otherwise.
Oh, when you consider it launched a whole franchise of these things. How many in total were there? 5? Is it 5?
I think there's 6. It might even be a 7th.
Really?
Yeah. There's too many of them now.
Yeah. I've got a question for you from Toffee. Ask Samuel if he ever played the Die Hard PlayStation game. It was a first-person shooter. I loved it when I was younger. Did you ever play that game?
If I did, I've got no recollection. I know
No?
there was a game. I know it used the cover, film cover as the cover of the box art, but beyond that, I couldn't, from memory, picture what it looked like. So if I have played it, I've completely forgotten. Sorry.
Well, I know you've played that many games.
Yeah.
Good question. Something I wouldn't have thought of. Anglo is saying it was a great game in the day. So there you go. Never mind. Anything else anyone would like to add to this conversation about Die Hard?
I brought him up at the beginning. As I say, I don't know what the guy's name is, but the stunt guy that appeared in so many 80s and 90s action films with the bald patch up top and the droopy moustache, this Asian looking guy. Whoever he is, special shout out to him because he just steals that wee moment where they're getting ready to meet the counter terrorists, and he's set up behind the candy counter in the building, and he grabs
I can't.
and he starts eating it. Phenomenal. Whoever's decision was for that was, great. Just made that stunt guy extra.
If I recall correctly, that was the actor himself improv'd that.
Was he did that as an improv? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
If you get the right
love that,
people,
yeah.
you can get. And also Alan Rickman, when he faked the American accent, same thing. That was improv'd on the day.
Well, the accent.
Yeah. Because Alan Rickman, he was making fun of American accents while he was there on set, and then if I recall correctly, like they had most of the script but not all of it. So they were kind of they were a little bit slapdash about it, but they needed a scene where Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman would like communicate with one another so that they would recognize each other for the big final scene, because they have to recognize each other, otherwise the scene doesn't work. And they're like, okay, how do we do that? And then someone, I don't know who, someone came up with the bright idea of, oh, but Alan Rickman, he can do a funny American accent. What if we just have Alan Rickman pretend to be a funny American, or just totally fake out John McClane, and see how that works out? And they did on the day. They just filmed it, and it managed to work out. But that's because, like, Alan Rickman, like, he spent years in theater or something.
Yeah. Oh,
beforehand,
yeah,
so
Yeah.
he kind of knew what he was doing. And Bruce Willis, doing television, like, he understands what it's like to do these things improv style. So two people at the top of their game, they managed to make a scene basically in situ.
Yeah. Out of nothing.
Yeah, out of the concept alone.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to briefly say, I take it the story of the demise of Gruber, how effective that was, because they lied to Rickman on when they were going to let him go. They were going to let him go on account of 5 or 3 or something, to let go on the green screen and drop him on the safety mat. And they let him go in 2. So that's when he lets, you see the film, and he's got that, absolute terror in his eyes. It was real, because he was not expecting to be let go at that moment. And that was the take they went. They just did the one take.
Well, no, they did multiple takes. It's just that the first one was the best one because
Yeah,
it was the
well,
one where he actually was afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did the same thing in Fight Club as well. There's a scene where I don't. It's near the end of the movie where the main character is fighting himself for reasons. He's fighting his imaginary self, and he throws himself down a flight of stairs.
Oh yeah.
And
No,
they
that one,
used the
yeah.
first take. They threw that poor guy, the stuntman, down those stairs like 20 times or something. And the
Oh.
take they used was the first take.
Oh dear. It sounds a bit like sadism to me.
Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear. Sounds awful. Die Hard 4 is diabolical, says Anglo-Saxon. I'll take your word for it.
It's that.
The Fall Guy. Very good. The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
So-
Second one was good as well. Another Christmas film. Underrated.
That's in the airport, is it, that one?
Yeah, that's the airport one, yeah.
And then he lights a plane on fire for some reason.
With a Vengeance was a good film, says Toffee.
Yeah.
Is that the second one? Or is
No,
that
Die
another-
Hard with a Vengeance is either 3 or 4.
Right, okay.
Yeah. There's your runway, Holly. Yeah, there's your runway.
I like this one from Streaky. I realise sequels were not as good as the original after watching Police Academy 16.
To be fair,
Yeah.
it did peak around 8.
Oh dear. 3 it was. So there you go.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, I saw the third one in the cinema, believe it or not. Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've kind of exhausted this. William, I'm going to assume now that we're going to have access to this channel, right? Despite the fact I couldn't get on there today. It's your choice for the next movie review night. And I'll tell you what's available, the categories. Biopic, documentary, fantasy, horror, sci-fi, sports, westerns. So there's plenty of choice for you. And we'll assume that you can have access to that channel. We'll have to do something about that if we run into trouble with that channel. If it, for some reason.
Yeah, interesting. Probably going to go down the road of sci-fi.
Sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Toffee's saying that That's Life, but Not As We Know It should do a late stream after this stream.
Well, be careful with what you wish for. Do you know can I just say on the big fat cop in Die Hard, I thought he was great. I thought he played his role really well. Then they give you the backstory about him. Oh, he accidentally shot a kid. But
Oh,
then he's-
that black man, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But then he
Al.
kind of gets redemption by shooting the terrorist at the end.
Yeah,
And I
that's
thought
it.
that was great. That was a great bit.
Yeah. And when you know that these other pieces about the film, it would seem quite natural that bit was added on there to do exactly what you just said there, William.
Yeah.
If they were really indeed sort of making this film up as they went along.
Yeah, but going by the trivia, quite a lot of it is it's improvised,
Yeah,
which
on
is
the spot.
yeah.
And that's not an easy thing to do, to pull
Mhm.
that off. Most famous example of that's got to be Casablanca, of course. That's what they did. Wait every day. They're waiting on scripts arriving when they're filming that, but it works in the end.
It says in the trivia as well that the one of Bruce's vests, the white vest,
Yeah.
it's in the Smithsonian Museum.
Oh, really? He's looking
Yep,
at you.
going by the trivia, there's quite a lot of trivia on it. Loads of stuff. I mean, it must be a gigantic movie to have all this surrounding it. And given that it was made in, I think, 88, I mean, it's
89, yeah.
it stood the test of time. You would hardly even think it, to be honest, apart from the vehicles that you see. It's right up there.
Yeah, because it's one of those films, as I say, it just somehow managed to overcome all the obstacles to be this instant classic that will never get tired. Well, I wouldn't get tired of watching it. I'm sure many people wouldn't get tired of watching it, particularly at Christmas time, as they think of bringing family together, killing terrorists to bring a family together. You know, it doesn't get more wholesome than that, you know.
It does in Wonderful Life.
Yeah. I don't think George Bailey, shot, a dozen terrorists or used plastic explosives. Although it's super dark.
I think the other phrase that I liked, I mean, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, is, yeah, you can hardly beat that. But when he's under the table and the guy's like, look, when you get a chance to shoot someone, don't hesitate. Boom, boom, boom. Thanks for the advice. I thought that was great.
Incidentally, that's the exact shot where Bruce Willis lost 30% of his hearing. That shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So, I mean, this might sound a bit morbid in a way, but good thing it's a memorable shot because he paid for it.
And here's me when that sequence happened, I was concerned about splinters, going all over his face and whatnot. But obviously, the hearing was more of a concern. I always thought, oh my God, what if that doesn't break away properly and he gets a splinter in the eye? He gets blinded.
Yeah, that's why they put like some kind of plexiglass sheet between him and the table.
Yeah, it would be, that'd be
So
between the camera. Yeah,
all of that beautiful reverberating sound came right back at him.
Well, I'll remember these things the next time I'm on a Hollywood set, Eki.
Yeah, same. I think about it all the time.
Wearing my gangster outfit.
Yeah, dude, come on down. We'll get you in.
And they asked me to shoot somebody at close range.
Yeah, remember to wear your earmuffs, bro.
Put my ear things in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just the movie North by Northwest, Alfred Hitchcock. There's that scene where they're in the UN building and someone gets shot, and the movie shot that they used, you'll see a little kid put his fingers to his ears because he knows what's about to happen. So like the entire shot is just fine, but there's one little kid.
Oh wow!
I've seen that. He's in the background.
Yes.
And the
reason he does that is because guns are flipping loud. Even the ones that are firing blanks, they are not fun to listen to at all.
I wasn't aware of that. I'll need to watch that the next time I put that film on. I love that film.
Yeah, I don't remember where he is in the shot, but he's obviously he's in the background. He's a background actor, but if I remember correctly, he's wearing red and white, I think, and he's sitting down in a chair, I think. That's my recollection.
No, he's
but I haven't
sitting
thought about it
down. I
in a long time.
remember that.
What's that?
He is sitting down. I don't remember what he's wearing, but you see him do this,
Yeah. Poor little kid.
Yeah.
and then the gun goes off.
Spoils the suspense.
I suppose. A natural reaction, though, when you know what's coming.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we've done all right then, time-wise. So you're going with a sci-fi, are you, William, for your pick for next time?
Yeah, I think I'll lean towards that.
Okay. Let's hope the site is available to us all. That would be great. Otherwise, I've no idea what we're going to do, because I don't know any other site it's like that. But there you go, friends. So, any other comments? Anything else to say? Or should I just put the...
John,
Yes.
Bobby. It's a great movie.
Booby.
Bobby, from the horrible coke addict who was in Holly's office railing lines just before John McClane came in to say hello.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was saying to my dad that this year at Christmas, on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, those characters were trending along with the Nakatomi Plaza hashtags, which was quite funny. But,
Nice.
people were remembering them as if they were real.
Well, greetings from Nakatomi Plaza to everyone present, by the way.
Just look, a short walk from your place.
I'm not joking when I say this. I could step outside of my house, and if there weren't a couple of buildings in the way, I could see it in the distance.
I like this one from Toffee. Thank God we didn't have to listen to Sensum talking about his curry recipes.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. And naan bread. Jesus.
Is this his latest? Is it?
He's probably sitting eating a curry right now.
Well, if a man likes a curry, a man likes a curry. What can you say? What can you say? Not a
I guess
lot.
that would be far hard with a vengeance.
Do you know what was great about the film, I thought? From the very, very start, you just do not know where it's going. And even, because I like to try and think, oh, it's going to go here. And it was like, nope, it's going there. It's taking a twist here. And that always keeps me hooked. And yeah, I think in terms of the writing, top marks. Very good.
Yeah, because in movie logic, Hans Gruber comes across as a smart villain that's on par and sometimes is even more of a threat to the hero than the hero's a threat to him, because you think he's constantly got the upper hand. He's got the upper hand. He's pulling out this thing out of the bag, and the somewhat nonsensical part about the ambulance and whatnot. But he's just such a great villain, just phenomenal.
But am I not correct in saying that in this film, Die Hard? Now, I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong here, folks. I think this is the first time we see a villain saying to an innocent, well, I'm going to count to 3, and if you don't open the safe, I'm going to shoot you. And then he counts to 3, 1, 2, 3, and he shoots them dead. I don't think we'd seen that before. I think that's new. I think that's the first time it happens. And if
Yeah.
it is the first time we see it happen, then it becomes imitated thereafter.
And
think
Alan
I'm right.
Rickman sold it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been very believable. And of course, if you don't know anything about guns, that putting the silencer thing on it just adds to the whole tension of the thing. You know, I'm getting ready to kill you, by the way, and I'm counting to 3. Bang, he's dead. And I thought I can honestly say I remember at the time when I saw it, thinking to myself, I like this guy. I like this villain. He does what he says he's going to do. No messing about.
Mhm.
But I think it was the first time.
Yes.
Now that's the kind of moment I love to know. Did they make that up on the spot, or was that written in?
Yeah, good show.
I'd like to think that it was made up on the spot.
It's possible that it may have been made up on the spot only because, again, they had most of the script, but not all of the script. So they were going off of major beats. They're like, "Yep, we're gonna blow up a helicopter, so we just have to get to the helicopter." Yep, we're gonna have them do some kind of a weird duel in the back or at the top of the building. So we have to get them to the top of the building somehow. Just whatever we need to do to get them up there is what we're gonna do. Yep, we're gonna have hostages get killed so that we can show how dangerous this villain is or whatever. So someone's gonna die. Who's gonna die? Takagi? Cool. Hey, buddy, you're gonna die. So that's the call sheet. Done.
Yeah.
There may have been some of that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's the sort of thing I would like to think. You know, that these actors on the days thought, no, this will work. Let me do this and see what happens.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
another part that I really enjoy is when he's talking to the negotiator, the idiot LA cop guy, or it might be the Johnson and Johnsons, and he's saying, "Yes, I want Asian Dawn released," and he starts waffling away, and then he talks to one of his henchmen, and he's like, who are these people? And he's like, I read about it in Time magazine. You know, it's just this wonderful.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's just like, I just need them running around like idiots. You know,
Yeah.
while I do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And again, just such great writing.
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, Johnson, Detective Johnson, and Johnson, all not related."
Yeah.
One of my favorite bits is when they're in the helicopter, which, by the way, they filmed those helicopters actually going between the buildings. So that's real. When you see those shots, those helicopters are actually in Century City, which I love. But I love the line where the older Johnson is like, "Yeehaw," just like Saigon, and then the younger guy's like, "I was in middle school, asshole." I don't know why, but I love that.
Yeah.
This is nothing to do with the film we're talking about, but Samuel and I have often spoke about this film, and the title is The Road. And Ludwig is talking about it. Pretty apocalyptic, he's saying. Grim film with a gripping tale. This is one film, folks, that I would not put forward for a film review night. It's so grim. We bought it. It's in our collection. But my gosh, if you've never seen this film, boy, is it grim. I can't think of another film as grim as this one. Anyone seen it? Have you seen it, William? No. It's a modern film. Don't think it's an oldie. It's not.
No, I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's 2009 and it stars Aragorn, so it's pretty new. And I did watch it, and I also read the book. And weirdly enough, I found the movie way, way worse than the book, and only for one specific technical reason. No one's gonna read the book, so whatever. I'll spoil it. In the book, it's basically the same as the movie. There's almost no difference. What's his face? McCormick. Cormac McCarthy. Isn't that the author? Cormac McCarthy or something?
I couldn't say.
Whatever. Anyway, the author of the novel, he has this thing where he does not like punctuation. So you have to figure out when people are talking because there's no freaking quotation marks. And he doesn't bother to indicate who is speaking. So you have to sit there and reverse engineer half a freaking page.
Oh dear.
Whatever, anyway. At the end of the book, the main character, Aragorn, dies, and his son is taken in by a bunch of bandits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the bandits, they don't rape and murder the little kid, which is, cool, good, awesome. But that's not actually the part that makes the novel acceptable to me. The novel is acceptable because there's one specific scene where Aragorn takes his little kid out hunting for morals. So they find mushrooms, which means there's life, which means that there is the possibility for a world to get rebuilt. The fact that there's actually some life growing somewhere means that the world is not dead, which means that there is a future, which means that there is the possibility of hope. That's basically missing in the movie. So the novel is only more acceptable for a specific technical reason.
Right. I just thought that was interesting that it finally came up in conversation in the chat. But Samuel and I have spoken about this a few times. It's definitely not something that I would recommend for a film review. Well, Steve is leaving us. Steve Cray, moderator, is leaving us. He's going off to sleep time for bedtime. So, thanks for being here, Steve, as always. Great moderator, as always. Nice to know that you're feeling a bit better. Nice to know you had a nice warm Christmas. And you take care of yourself, my friend. And we'll speak soon. So there you go.
Bruce Willis seemingly got paid, and it might have eased a bit of his ear pain. To be fair, I'd probably take $5 million for a bit of ear pain, and it was unheard of, $5 million to one actor at the time. But I think now you're probably talking triple that these days.
Oh, more than triple, William. Yeah, that would be a huge sum of money back then, of course. Yeah, it would be.
Would you take it for 30% of your ear loss?
I don't know what 30% of my ear loss would
Your
be.
hearing.
No, I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
I'd like to know how that equates with actually what would I lose? Because it's been reported to me privately, by the way. I may be losing a bit of my hearing in my left ear. And I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know, William. It's easy to be flippant, you say, well, I'd grab a 5 million and run. But,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually got when I worked on the substation here, we got private medical checkups and ear tests, hearing tests, eye test, and I got told that I was going deaf in one ear. And since then, I've kind of always kept my headphones and music down low. But up until that point, I was quite bad at playing stuff really loud. So now I just try and keep it low. But yeah, you've got to protect your hearing, especially when I looked into you can get tinnitus,
Oh, I've got that.
yeah, and a ringing in the ear, which
Yeah,
can
I've got
become
that.
it can become really severe, seemingly to the
Yes,
point where unbearable.
yes. I can say yes to all of that.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
I
you know when it hit me, William, sorry to interrupt your flow here. It hit me when I went to university. I was sitting in lectures half the time, couldn't hear what was being said for this high pitched noise all the time. Carry on.
yeah, I looked into it for I had to do a PowerPoint presentation on a health and safety issue at work. So I went down the road of hearing ear protection because I'm seemingly deaf in one ear. But yeah, it sounds horrific. There was
So,
even talk of some people had it that bad. They didn't want to live and they took their own life because it was that bad.
yeah, I've read about that. Yeah, when I looked into it, it is an awful thing to have. But let me tell you, um, mine's has more or less gone away. And when I say that, what I mean by that is that my mind, my brain, has rewired itself to accommodate for this. So I don't hear that high pitched sound anymore. Now, I don't know if that's normal for other people, but that's what happened to me. It took many, many years. It didn't go away quickly. I've had it for a long, long time, but it did eventually go away. And then one day I thought, I don't hear that noise anymore. It was gone.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
that's
go.
good to hear. Good
Treble
to
M's
hear that.
got it. Treble M's got it.
I've got a similar one, but it's called having a wife.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I'll need to I'll need to clip that into a little file, a sound file, and send her it. See what she's got
So
this.
the takeaway from this is protect your hearing. That's the takeaway.
Yeah, yeah. She's saying that, mind you, it's ringing like mad right now. Oh, it's an awful thing. It really is. You've no idea. It's an awful thing. But as I say, mine's has gone away. It comes back now and then, but it doesn't last very long. Ludwig saying, I, John, I think I'm the same. Don't notice it much, so as long as I can hear the birds singing. Well, they're in the same uh, frequency range, I would imagine. I think most people, it's a high pitched sound that they get when it happens. I've never heard anyone with a low pitch, although my son's trying to convert me into the idea that this noise I hear at night is is not outside and is not being caused by the baker, but it might be in my head. I don't know. But certainly the high pitched one is gone, thankfully. So there you go. Yep, I think you're probably right there, Toffee. You'll be sleeping on the couch tonight after what that remark
Yep,
is made.
again.
In the doghouse, you've got it. Okay, folks, I think that's as much as we can say on these subjects. So, if you're going for a sci-fi, for goodness sake, don't pick The Road.
Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas, so it won't be
That's
that.
oh,
I think
good.
The Road technically qualifies as a drama.
It certainly could certainly qualify as a fantasy as well, and a horror. I would argue. I would argue. But anyway, we're not going to be doing it, thank goodness. Oh, 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 is that what I think it is? I just got a message there.
Is it a
Oh,
recipe? Is it a curry
nah,
recipe?
yeah, it's a message from Buy Me a Coffee. I thought it was somebody had donated. Oh, and let me tell you, yeah, um, we raised between us £110 for the food bank people, and they were highly delighted in receiving cash. And it was just as I thought. The young man that I spoke to said that quite often when people give in food rather than cash, it's duplicating a lot of the stuff they've got, and they would rather have the cash so they can, because they know where they need to spend it. So there you go,
That's great.
£110.
Well done.
Yeah, I think we did brilliant there. So I don't know how they'll spend it, but I'm sure it'll be well spent before too long. These charities are always short. Okay, friends, I'll probably be back on, well, I was going to say Tuesday, but Tuesday's what? The new year, isn't it? Watch out for me putting a notice up. Where are we? Yeah, I need to try and find a wee space to come on next week at some point and talk a little bit about this human disaster that's going on in Gaza. I feel bad if I don't say something publicly about it. So I will. Yes, Treble M, the cash was what they were looking for in preference to goods. Yeah, they said that they had all sorts of duplication in goods. So cash was the answer. Okay, before you go, William, would you like to advertise your channel and what you're up to these days and when you'll be on again?
To be honest, it's anybody's guess at the moment. Everything's a bit in the air where I'm at, so likely it'll be a spontaneous, oh, here I am, I'm back again. But I did kind of say the last time I was on that it would be next year. So if I am on, you'll see
It'll
me
be
going
next year.
around. But
Well,
yeah, I might jump on before then. There is a lot going on in the world, but I mean, where do you start, right? Where do you
yeah,
start?
where do you start? Exactly. Okay, William. Um, that's it. You don't know where you'll be, but you'll be there whenever you're there. And I think I'll be the same. So I'll take you out of the stream. You can stay with us or you can go and walk your dog. Eki, how about yourself? Where will we find you? Where will people find you and your channel and all the rest of it?
Oh, I don't go outside. That's it. I just don't go outside anymore. I kind of miss streaming if I'm being honest, but no, I don't. I've been very silent about things, which is unfortunate, I guess. Not that I have any deep insights to offer, but it's fun to talk to people about some of these things. Yeah, maybe I'll start streaming again, but for the moment, no, I'm just radio silent. The only streams that I do as of this moment, weirdly, are popping onto yours to talk about movies, and that's it.
Okay.
So, but I would say this. I'm not going to advertise my own stream, but I will say just one thing. Remember to floss. Definitely remember to floss. All right, that's it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'll take you
Cheers,
from the
guys.
street.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, Samuel, I don't have to ask you. I know where you'll be. And I know you don't stream because you don't have a channel. So, would you like to say?
I do have a YouTube channel by the same name. There is stuff there if you're into gaming. I have a Twitch channel which I haven't streamed in over a year now. Again, if you want to throw a follow on either of them just to boost my numbers and ego, I wouldn't say no to that. Just don't
Yeah.
expect anything to be uploaded or streamed.
Okay, my boy, I'll take you out of the stream.
Before you do that, could I just say,
Sure.
come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
Very good, son. Very good. Ah, dear. So anyway, folks, it's always nice to be here. Nice stream. I'll be on sometime next week, but I don't know when. And don't forget tomorrow night. Am I right? Yeah. Tomorrow night you'll get Sensum, and you will get our friend Toffee together on a stream on Sensum's channel. Can't remember the time. It's either 7 or 8. If he's still with us, he can tell us the time, but he might have gone off. I don't know. But he'll be on tomorrow. There he is there. Oh, you're not on. Right. Toffee's saying he's not on. Not sure about 42. Right, so I won't plug 42 either then. I assumed you would be on, but never mind. So no stream tomorrow. And that will also explain, partly explain, why Sensum's off visiting with relatives and whatnot. So yeah, he tells me he's off visiting Toffee, relatives and what have you. Well, I'd like to wish you all a happy new year. I wish I could say we'll have a peaceful new year, but I doubt it. We can only do our best. But whatever happens next year, look after yourself, folks. Don't spend all your time pursuing online activities. There's a beautiful world out there. Spend some time in it. And I will see you. And thanks for these newer people who came on here tonight. Always nice to see new people on the channel. And I hope that you sign up and become a regular. So with that, I shall say, let's get the outro music on. And that's that. So as I always say, folks, adios, au revoir, cheerio, and goodbye for now. And I will see you in the new year. Take care. Enjoy the music. Look after yourself.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides a fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But a very important glow.
in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past the consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
All together now.
But we're much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But a very important glow.
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
Once again, to each of you, have a happy new year. Look after your health. And I'll speak to you all soon. And thanks all of you for coming tonight. Greatly appreciated as always. So take care. We'll speak soon.